Okay, so Drew, you recently gotten back that car to keep that man from dying. It's not been a pleasant trip. I mean, this car is, well, there's the stench of blood. You know, some rags still on the floor. It's not a pleasant trip along, a bumpy forest road in a, blood-drenched car. And it takes quite a while for the vehicles to actually pull out of the forest and onto what passes for a road, an actual paved road. The two drivers, the two in the front are, I don't want to say they're panicking, but they're getting a little twitchy that they haven't found really any trace of habited civilization yet. They've driven past a lot of houses, but they're just houses, and some of them maybe have been lived in recently, some are run down. The trip continues for a while until down the road, well, there's almost spotlights. The driver sort of turns to the back and says, well, I think I see something. I hope it's something and not just someone leaving their headlights on.
It's your dinner today? No.
Yes, that's my wife. I am not in command of my own. Not in command of my own life.
Not in command of your own stomach.
No.
I appear to have frozen for a second there.
Yeah, okay, you're good now.
Discord's being terrible on me again. But
so
yeah.
Drew would respond that I imagine we'll find out when we get there.
The driver shrugs and steps on the gas, even though he's not using gas. But he pulls down this road, and it becomes pretty clear that there's almost like a barricade set up on the road. A couple trucks pulled off to the side, but they're not the pickup trucks you've seen previously. They're almost what's the best way to describe them? They're almost military, like transport. Beds a lot longer, a lot more open. Sitting around a campfire off to the side of the road, there's a couple people in what appear to be very simple brownish tanned fatigues. Upon this car pulling up, one of them does kind of slowly jump up and sort of almost begrudgingly walk over to the side of the road and raise his hand and kind of tries to wave the car down. There's a couple looks back and forth between people in the vehicle as they're like, well, do we stop?
These are a bunch of armed folks, yeah?
They're not armed, however. I mean, they are armed. They're just not holding rifles at the moment.
Fair, okay.
But there are a couple rifles visibly you can kind of see them illuminated by the campfire, kind of leaned up against a tree log.
So Drew would say, they don't appear to be too threatening. This one isn't approaching with a gun in hand.
It doesn't mean anything, but I don't think we have unless we want to go off-road and swerve around them. He sighs and puts it in park and slowly gets out. And, well, he gets to walk over to the approaching individual. They're not speaking incredibly loudly. If you wanted to try to listen, I'd call for perception.
As well.
Okay. Yeah, they're a distance away, but you can make out the general gist of what they're talking about. Essentially, this road is allegedly closed. They're under orders not to let any civilians through. There was a monster sighting recently, and although they think they've dealt with it, protocol, they need to call backup. And therefore the road is remaining closed until further notice.
So how does the driver respond then?
I mean, he's kind of like, well, we need to get medical attention. We got a guy nearly dying in the back seat. You sure there's nothing you can do to let us through? And mostly just kind of in disbelief that this guy is just casually, I don't, your friend's dying, but oh well, orders are orders, sir.
And so Drew would call out, from the back seat there. You don't have a medic in attendance right now?
This kind of does get the attention of everyone else sort of sitting previously playing cards at a campfire. Thor is like, I mean, first aid ain't gonna really fix him from what we were overhearing, but I mean, there's a couple, laughs among people, and one of them does slowly stand up and trudge on over to the back of one of the trucks and start digging through boxes and bags. After a few moments, he does procure what you can only presume to be medical supplies based on the Red Cross kind of stitched on the front of the bag. And he takes his sweet time walking over to the vehicle, however. They don't seem too really motivated to do a whole lot here beyond sit here and watch the road. The guy walks up and he's like, all right, let's take a look at him.
So I imagine he's approaching from the other side of the car to get a better look at the wounded guy.
Yeah, essentially. He, leans in through the window almost. He doesn't even have to lean in. He gets to the side of the car and is like, yeah, well, that's certainly dying, all right. And sort of sets the bag down kind of on the floor of the car after opening the door and starts fumbling around, pulling out bandages and what you can only assume to be antiseptics. He's like, I ain't really sure what I can do for you here other than stopping the bleeding. Judging by how much blood is on the seats already, I'm probably gonna die from blood loss anyways.
Do you want this death on your conscience? Or do you want to try your best to stop it?
But I've had a lot of deaths on my conscience already.
I'm sure. And you probably tried to stop them from dying before they died, right?
Nah, I was just a rifleman for a while. I'm only recently promoted to medic. Don't worry. Not a whole lot of qualified doctors out here. You get me.
So healing people isn't your calling, is what you're
Well,
telling me.
not my calling. I trained mostly back on cows on the old farm, but people a little more picky than livestock.
I'm sure he won't mind as long as he survives.
That's what they all say. But he does get to work trying to disinfect what he can and trying to stabilize this guy. After roughly 10 minutes or so, he kind of starts putting things away. He's like, well, clean dressings, painkiller. What more can I do for you here? He's gonna need rest and a lot of it.
I appreciate it. I'm sure he will too when he comes to.
Okay. Then he makes his way back to the campfire where, they begin to discuss among themselves and go back to whatever it was they were doing before, whatever game they were playing. The driver kind of comes back and is, well, what now? He kind of just openly asks this car, hoping for any response from guy in the other front seat, or you, or maybe the wounded guy to wake up and give him an answer, or he's just kind of like, we drove like how many miles to get here, only to find out that there's nothing here.
I don't know this area at all. My turf is inside the city.
I guess we could maybe head there. What city are we even at?
The city.
The city, huh?
It's you're kind of new here, yeah?
Well, last week we were business as usual. 5 days ago, we were put on high alert. 3 days ago, facility was overrun. We've been running ever since.
Well,
I knew something's wrong. I can tell you that much. Because all of a sudden, we're not in the Arctic anymore.
what's the Arctic?
Like ice, South Pole. I guess maybe not Arctic, but we were.
Well, let me
haven't taken a
be the
geography
first
lesson before.
Be the first to inform you that you are somewhere else.
I figured that out, my friend.
Somewhere else entirely.
Kind of gives you a puzzled look and it's like, I knew I shouldn't have left that state job.
So, being that I don't know my way around and you don't know your way around,
It is a Pooter.
It is I.
hello, Pooter.
I'm sorry.
We will need to explore to get your friend some additional help.
Well, I don't know how much longer the car battery is going to last, but I guess we'll turn around and go the other way. He kind of seems quite defeated at this, like, well, this is terrible. And we'll jump back to Drew.
To who?
We'll jump back to Drew later. So
Oh,
now,
gotcha.
let's pick up with main group. So, Cherry, Rose, Tullus, and Stahl are here, as well as a tied up individual, and a nearly dead individual, and a very dead individual.
Yes. I am still carting the body of the nearly dead individual off towards the encampment to see what help they can honestly provide, if any.
Okay, so you are heading back to the convoy of trucks.
Yes.
Cherry, what are you doing after you've been unfortunately denied final vengeance?
Well, she gets up, legs still bleeding profusely. Well, no, it's been like bandaged, but that's about it.
Yeah.
She gets up, and she walks over to Rose. Rose, how was you? And I suppose she just says, how's your mental and physical state at the moment?
Yeah, you're gonna worry about me when your leg is probably broken.
I am fine. I
can tell by the hobble you're not. And maybe she'll break stoic this time.
let's see. Looks down.
One can only hope.
Let's see. Okay, let's Cherry. This is. It's subterfuge plus manipulation, and we get a +2. It's just a normal roll. It's not route. Oh!
Hey.
I pulled.
Okay. It only took
Okay.
30 sessions. Yeah. So how is Cherry actually feeling?
Cherry. Her going up to Rose immediately was not a facade. She cares immensely about how Rose is feeling right now. Oh. The other thing is that yes, she's in immense pain. And she just got shot in the leg. And she's pretty good at hiding that. But Rose would notice that that her hand is pretty commonly going over to her leg where she got shot, and she is hobbling a bit. Yeah.
It's like, I really appreciate the concern, but we should really get you off that leg, I think, before you hurt it even more.
You are likely correct. It would be dangerous for me to continue to use it, though I do believe I can still walk. She sits back down.
So tell us, are you just like dragging this body, carrying?
No, I had stated that I very carefully picked her up and was, two arming her,
Okay.
I would military carry her, but I don't know if she would survive in the state that she currently is in.
Okay. But yeah, so as you get closer to these trucks, I mean, they heard gunshots from here. They were looking in this direction, and some people are kind of like just sort of standing there really confused why this person is walking up to us with a body in their arms. Some people are kind of like almost panicking, some are...
Well, Tullus is just gonna just shout at them, "Get me a goddamn medic now!"
Well, your request is shortly granted after a small group, 3 individuals, kind of come running out. Most of the people they look pretty civilian, but these guys, like the other 3, essentially look more trained. They look like they're the business end of this group. They're running out and like, what happened? Is there a firefight out there?
Minor one, an altercation. Civilian got shot. One civilian got shot. One bodyguard got shot. Another bodyguard has been detained, and well, this person is one of the ones that shot a civilian. So, I have my own thoughts about that. I don't know how you guys do your things, but, but where do I take her? I don't want to set her on the ground here.
I guess the best place would be in that gas station, just temporarily. Like, follow us, I suppose.
Right, Tullus is gonna follow them.
I don't trust gas station hospitals.
Tullus doesn't really either, but it's better than the dirty ground.
If your options are floor of a gas station or floor of a forest, what do you take?
Yeah.
Depends on the gas station.
It's true.
But yeah, you guys run over to the gas station. They're kind of barking orders at people, like, get me some cloth, get me a bedroll, everything, get me medicine. Get moving, people. And within a short period of time, essentially just a padded mat is kind of rolled out on the floor of this gas station.
Once that mat's rolled out, Tullus is going to place, I don't want to call it a body because it's not dead yet, but I'm going to place her on the mat and then kind of take a step back because, well, Tullus knows a little bit of first aid and, he's already done what he can, so he's backing off and hoping that these guys are a bit more trained than he is in the medical profession.
As you back off, give me a perception check.
You want? Yes, okay, here we go. I had to... So... Wits plus composure. Give me that juicy roll. Ooh, okay. I can live with that.
Yeah, so as you kind of step back and sort of take in the room you're standing in, this place has been torn apart. Like, it's been ransacked. Like, it looks like someone came in and tried to shoplift the entire store. In addition, it's not too hard to see the blood splatter on the back wall behind the counter. Relatively fresh. Hasn't dried yet.
Tullus is gonna shift awkwardly, but he's not gonna make any move to actually go back there. He's in a precarious situation and he knows it, so he doesn't want to do anything that would end up with him in another fight by himself.
Yeah. After the the injured patient is kind of laying down, the one person that seems to actually be leaning down to treat the patient, they sort of cock their head back, and you said firefight, like bullets, right?
Couple of bullets were fired. One from a shotgun, one round from a shotgun, one round from a pistol, and then there was a bit of a live wire spark. Not exactly sure how it happened, which is what befell this person, is some sort of electrical issue.
Yeah, electrical. I was gonna ask where these third-degree burns across the entire back came from. No matter. If you could step back a moment.
Absolutely, and Tullus gives this person as much room as they honestly require. He is not necessarily trying to sneak out the door, but he is moving back towards the way he came in. But making sure not to leave his back to an open doorway either.
Yeah. Okay, so let me just confirm something. Okay, yeah, so this individual kind of kneels down and just places a hand center mass at the chest. And sort of just starts taking some very deep breaths before almost jerking backwards. You can see the veins in his arm that he placed on the chest have gone black as they kind of travel up his venous system. And after a few moments, a good half of his, well, you can't really see most of his body apart from the forearm and the face. But his forearm and half of his face are just black veins, very noticeably protruding. The injured individual is still covered in burns, but a lot of the burns have subsided, and they come to. After this, the doctor here sort of stumbles back and almost falls on his ass, just almost panting heavily.
Tullus kind of raises an eyebrow, He's seen, rapid healing before, but not somebody causing it on somebody else. So that is intriguing. But
one of the guards kind of notices your interest almost, if you show it even.
Yeah, I raised an eyebrow.
Sort of gives a chuckle and is like, wonders of technology, my friend. Wonders of technology.
I give him a glance of just even if it was technology to Tullus, this looks enough like magic that Tullus is just gonna kind of give him a look like, sure, whatever you need to keep telling yourself to go to sleep at night, buddy. That's the look on Tullus's face.
Yeah, so Dorothy, however, is still quite wounded, but is conscious. And sort of looks around and realizes she's in the gas station. Through some heavy, deep breaths, she kind of mutters, got a code 7B.
Obviously Tullus wouldn't have any idea what the hell that means.
Not at all. But the doctor here is still quite tired and is trying to rest, admittedly, almost in a meditative stance. While the other two are kind of looking back at each other and is like, standard protocol?
Tullus kind of looks at them. What?
He's like, you might want to...
I might want to...
You might want to stay here. There's kind of a worrying glance as they look back and forth at each other and trying to get some reassurance from presumably their boss here.
Stay here. Unfortunately, I was given express orders by my... He looks for the words carefully, and he does end up nodding his head and goes, "Commanding officer. I am to collect a group of individuals that my commanding officer was with earlier today."
At this point, one of them does sort of almost jog out of the building. Not jog, but he's power walking with some purpose back to the main group of trucks. And the second is like, "Your commanding officer got an organization, a name?"
He kind of smiles and he goes, "Yeah, of course."
You want to share with the class here? You see, we're in a bit of a, I don't want to say Cold War. And I'd rather know that we're not looking at enemies here.
Well, luckily, to the best of my knowledge, the Roman Empire is not at war with anybody currently.
Another whack job, huh? That seems to be a common thread here.
At this point, he raises his left hand and pulls out his pistol, raised up to the sky, and then he actually points at it, which the side of the pistol reads its model number.
In Roman numerals?
Well, it reads Pugio 1981 Roman Empire.
Okay, congrats. You got a commissioned weapon for your LARP. That ain't really my problem.
God, you're gonna piss off Tullus. God.
And at that point, he places the gun back, pulls out his actual military ID.
What, you want to compare? He kind of fumbles around in his pockets. He pulls out what appears to be a wallet, and attached to it is, an ID. Yeah, here's my employee designation. What's your point?
What does his designation say here?
It identifies the man as Frank Hosfort, security personnel at a facility Bravo. Chiron.
No, nothing that I could distinguish as a country, city.
The distinguisher would be Chiron Incorporated.
Yeah,
well,
but
Chiron Pharmaceuticals Incorporated, or whatever they call themselves.
I have to look it up.
Yeah, but Chiron. There's no nation.
So you have a business card, while I have a legally binding governmental identification card. Who's the one that's LARPing? Whatever that means.
Clearly you've been living under a rock, because our company is not exactly what you'd call not legally binding. Look, you might want to leave before things get ugly. There's allegedly a monster around, a corpse one. Kind of a bit of disdain as he says that. It's like, I always hate dealing with him.
All right. Well, you told me to leave. I was told to stay by somebody else, so I'm at a bit of a loss, but I will take your word for it. I have things that I need to get done tonight. And Tullus takes his leave at that.
Okay. As you leave, this convoy is now noticeably even more panicked and are loading things faster. A bit of unloading as well, as, well, one of the guys sort of, he doesn't jump off, but he comes off the back of one of the trucks armed with, well, what you'd recognize as a flamethrower.
Tullus keeps moving, but he does keep a specific eye on the guy with the flamethrower.
Yeah, they're kind of roaming around, talking to people, trying to figure out what's going on. You know, there is a general sense of, all right, this is what we need to be doing, but their chain of command got hit, so they're not entirely sure how to proceed. But they're proceeding to the best of their knowledge.
Well, Tullus is... If Tullus can't really pick anything out other than that, he's going to actually make his way back into the brush towards where he left Stahl and everybody else.
Yeah. So, before we pick up there, however, let's see what Kalmir has been doing.
Yes.
Kalmir, you have been following this entity for a little bit now.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you wish to do beyond just following it?
Well, I'd like to figure out what it is, study it. Might be difficult while moving, though.
It's not walking very fast.
Okay.
And scrutiny and revelation is on a turn-based extended action. So
yeah,
presumably, if you get close enough, you can probably either complete or do as much as you can before it gets far enough away, anywhere near far enough away to get out of your senses.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, I'll start, let's see, what should come first? Scrutiny or revelation? I forget. Well, I guess they can go in either order.
Yeah, revelation is just like surface look.
Yeah.
Scrutiny is the extended action bit.
Well, let's do the surface look. Let's do revelation.
Okay.
So it's Gnosis, Arcanum minus Opacity.
Yeah. So you're rolling out a -5.
E. So it's basically going to be 1 die. Okay, that's fine. I'll just roll. Hey!
Yeah, so you activate your mage sight.
Mhm.
And sort of just hit it with supernal energy, mana, however it is mages actually work. I don't get into it myself. But it does come, this very surface level knowledge of this creature, entity, thing comes to you. This isn't awakened magic. You can tell immediately.
Okay.
As such, it doesn't exactly follow a arcanum, but it's got energy similar to arcanums you can recognize. This thing is fate walking, which is a bit weird because normally life is what walks, occasionally dead. This is almost fate. And when you try to get a grasp of how old this creature is, well, the magical, ticker, the timer, it starts going up, and it gets faster and faster and continues to go up. And at some point you realize this thing is a lot older than what most human minds can really comprehend reasonably. You're looking at several million years. Which is a little concerning to you, considering you don't really know. Your knowledge of time before what you had doesn't exist anymore.
So this thing has existed since the time before. At least.
Well, time before doesn't quite work like that, but you might not know that.
I don't know how it works, but you know what? Logically, just because of the way time works, it does. Millions of years ago, it was still here, so...
Well, time before, the thing is, the time before is like what got retconned into reality.
Yeah.
It's like what reality was pre-retcon. That's magically what it is.
So maybe it wasn't from there, but it's very old.
Extremely old. Yes. Okay.
It's still much older than probably... Okay, you don't really have a concept of civilizations being very old, considering man, but...
Yes. Just a simple village folk. All right.
This knowledge comes to you, and it becomes very clear that this thing is going to be hard to fully study. It's pretty clear. Just how much effort it was to even get surface level info from it.
Okay.
You can attempt it, but...
I mean, we're still going the same direction. Does scrutiny have to be like all at once? Can it be piece by piece? Can it be interrupted? I'm not sure. Come back to it later. If we, I don't know.
I vaguely recall that possibly working.
If I can even.
Mage chooses to break off the scrutiny, she can reinstate it later with the opacity rating at whatever level it was when the mage broke off the attempt.
Oh, okay. So it can be done.
Yeah, you just have to make progress first.
Okay. All right, I'll try to make a little progress, because that's interesting how old this thing is. And since I don't know exactly how far we're going, so we'll just do a bit of scrutinizing. So it's just Gnosis Arcanum. No negatives. Okay. So, hey, 2 successes.
Okay. It doesn't reveal anything yet.
Not much. Again, then. I'll go until I get the first thing revealed, I guess. Oh, that's a failure. What do I get for a failure? No successes. Continue to scrutinize. So nothing really changes, I guess.
Yeah,
That
no,
was-
not at this point.
Okay. So that was 2 rolls. There's 3 rolls. Another 2 successes. 4 total.
I believe you need 5.
Do I need at least 5?
Because it gave you a -5, that means it's opacity 5.
Ah. So I just
Yeah.
need
Yeah, so you need
1, 2,
5 before it lowers to 4.
Hey, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that was 5 turns, and I got 7 successes.
Okay. Yeah, and you can feel a little bit of understanding as you break through the first layer of opacity.
All right, and well, I don't want to get lost, so I think I'll call it there. Continue following it. That way, I can still, keep an eye out for things in this strange place. About how far? Well, you said it was a couple miles to the noises, right?
Yeah.
Well, then, as I'm going, I'll start foraging for food. See what I can gather on the way. This is foresty area, yes?
Give me a wit survival.
Ah, 1 success.
There's a couple. I mean, they're berries.
Berries, it's
You know,
something.
minor test. They don't appear to be numbing your tongue, so they're probably not poisonous.
Good.
But it's
Well-
better than nothing.
Yeah. The rest of the trip is probably going to be fairly uneventful if it's just following, eating a few berries here and there, and getting a lay of the forest.
However, the trip doesn't. It's not just continuous walking, as this thing does eventually stop. It stops at a side of a road, basically in front of what looks to be an old barn. A relatively old barn. It's the paint's faded, chipped off, as it sort of stares at this barn for a few moments before continuing inside.
Inside the barn.
Yes.
Is the door open? Did it open the door?
The door is kind of creaked open. It's not exactly closed.
Okay.
Presumably someone came by here a while ago and jammed the door open and left it open.
Okay. Is there anything around outside of this building?
There's some old fences that looked like they used to maybe have like a pasture. It's overgrown. Trees haven't really come in just because of how long trees take to grow, but the grass is high, it's unkept.
So it looks pretty well abandoned.
Yeah, there's an old truck off the side, beaten down, the wheels have been taken out.
Cinder blocks.
Yeah. The hood's lifted, engine looks like it's been taken apart. The truck's pretty much been scrapped at this point.
Okay. Well, I'll take a peek inside the barn where this entity went.
Yeah, so it's not difficult to see where it went in the building because it is kind of, well, glowing. It moves off to the side almost to looks what you can all. What is a horse pen? Kalmir wouldn't know. He'd have no idea. Before walking in and stopping, turning, and looking down at the ground. Few seconds pass, and it does kind of raise its arm. And a bit of its fire sort of jumps into the floor. You can't exactly see what it was jumping into, just because of, well, walls.
Yeah.
But it jumps off of it into the down.
Well, remembering that it was hovering above a crater last time, maybe Kalmir doesn't want to stand too close, because if it suddenly decides to make a hole, that might be difficult footing. So he'll stand outside the barn for maybe a couple minutes to see what happens.
Yeah, so after, not admittedly, almost as soon as you get out of the barn, you kind of feel the air, it feels wrong. It doesn't give you much of a sense beyond almost a shiver, but it's not cold. A bit beyond that, the barn kind of erupts in a flash of light. It doesn't explode or anything, but it almost looks like a giant flashbang went off inside, and that feeling stops.
Barn is still there after uncovering my eyes?
Yes. Yes, the barn is still standing.
I'll cautiously approach and peek inside the door.
It looks much the same as when you left it.
This fire entity still standing there looking at the floor, hovering?
It is gone.
Oh, it's gone. Run around the building, see if it went out a different exit.
It does not appear to have left a different exit. It appears very much gone.
Well, that's strange. Kalmir's gonna go inside, slowly approach where he last saw it standing, look at the floor, see are there any markings or some clue as to where it's gone to.
Well, looking at the floor becomes pretty apparent. In a pile of almost a bedding of hay is a body.
Oh.
They are lying there. It almost appears that they're asleep, but they don't appear to be breathing.
Are they alive with life sight? Or have a soul?
I want to say no.
He
But
wants
the
to say no.
Contagion player guy claims yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna say they don't appear alive in the sense of, well, like a human.
Okay.
It is a mockery of life.
It's another strange moving thing that shouldn't be moving. Do I see if it has a soul? Well, I would see something, maybe. Or it's blank.
It's not empty, but it's not a soul. It's a flicker of what you think might be a soul, but it's only a spark.
The tiny little thing.
Little ember.
I want to poke him with my spear. The butt end. The sharp end.
It gives no reaction.
Can I try and take its soul? It's there. It's.
Let me pull up Mage Awakening Night Horrors, because I don't think you can.
I will tell you no, that does not work.
Yeah,
that
I'm
simply
pretty
does
sure
not work.
no.
It's fair enough to say that it doesn't work, but maybe I wouldn't know that, or Kalmir wouldn't know that until he
No.
tries.
Does it say what happens if you try?
I think it's like it's sort of like just doesn't work.
It just like locked.
It's like it's not a soul. Trying to.
So it's just like grabbing at nothing.
It's not even soul stuff. If it requires.
Yeah, so you try to sort of grab it, and you can't get a grip on it. The grip you do get, it burns.
Ah.
It's like a slippery, like hot coal.
Okay. Is there any like the last body, any kind of like a leakage or any marks on this guy?
It
The guy?
appears perfectly and no wounds, nothing here. It almost looks like they're asleep.
I'll kneel down, try and wake him up. Hey, can you move? I don't know if you're alive, but can you move?
Again, there is no real reaction to your anything. If you didn't know any better, you assume they died in their sleep. But there's something alive here.
Something there. They're dead, but there's something there. I think what I could do. If he's not gonna move, can I drag him out of his hay bed to the more open area? Get a better look at him?
I mean, you can. It's still a person. They're not light.
Okay. Wonder, if I poke him with the sharp end of my spear, will he bleed? Just a little. Maybe pain will wake him up. Not jabbing it, but just,
He does bleed.
But he still won't wake up.
I have a question. This is for me. What does he bleed?
Looks like blood.
Okay.
Well, Kalmir figures out what to do.
Yeah.
We'll jump back to True. This car has turned around. They're driving with no real aim, just kind of trying to maybe find more people, find somewhere to stop.
We're still middle of the night-ish, yeah?
It's dawn.
Okay.
Like, it's becoming morning quite quickly.
So we can't really use city glow to find the way. Well, Drew doesn't really have a way to navigate. I mean, let me double check on that. Yeah, no. Drew doesn't have a way to navigate. So he's along for the ride until they find something.
Yeah. After what feels like forever of driving, admittedly, with no real aim, the driver, he sighs and is, well, we ain't got much further on this battery. And he's kind of just looking around. I guess we'll pull in at this house. Maybe try to get some sleep if there's no one home, because it don't look like there's no one home. It doesn't look like there's anyone home at this point. Normally people put their doors back on the hinges.
Well, help me with your friend, because I can't maintain this bond and carry him at the same time.
All right. I'll head inside, check things out, and he kind of just motions for the other guy in the passenger seat. Help carry him in, would you?